Hello, this is John from caveofprogramming.com, and in this tutorial we're going to look at option menus. And option menus are things that spring up from the bottom of your application and allow you to select menu items that do stuff. Since I think SDK version 11, action bars have been the preferred method to to allow the user to change settings, and action bars appear at the top of your screen up here. But if I look at this application here and I look at my Android manifest and the users SDK, I've said that this application can run on SDK version 10. To get the kind of compatibility with SDK version 10, I would like to give this application a option menu, which existed even in the earliest versions of Android, I believe. So we'll take a look at that here. Now this is actually probably simpler than you think. So what I want to do so now I've got two activities on my application, and this is an image where I have to touch certain points to get through to the next screen. And I've set those points up, so if I click the right points on the image here, it will check them and then take me through to my protected notes here. And I thought it would be good if here there was like a settings option that allowed me to reset my pass points, so to run the image activity that we saw first and change the points that you have to click on the image to get through to this screen here, like a reset password facility basically. And to do that, the first thing I need is an option menu with one item in that will pop up when I click the menu button here. And on modern phones which don't have the menu button, well, I say modern, I mean very recent phones, which lack this menu button, usually you hold down the recent apps button and then that causes some kind of options menu to pop up. Now if I click this menu button here, we'll see that we already get this is actually a options menu with one menu item in it, and of course you can have more menu items. And this has one item, the settings item. And where does that come from? That's kind of in your application by default when you create a Hello World application. And if you go to Res here and you go to Menu, you'll see that for each of your activities there is this XML file under Menu. So we've seen the XML files under Layout, and now we're looking at this Menu folder in Res. And if I go to, well, this here is actually called activity main. It's my main activity, so called at the moment. So if I click on activity main under menu, here we'll see some XML that creates a menu. And the structure of it is, it's a lot like your layout XML, except that instead of having a layout view group here, you've got this menu view group, and just the same as for your layout XML, you've got this XML namespace declaration here that just has to be there in the outer tag, and then you've got as many menu items as you want within it, and each menu item has, at the minimum, it can have icons, but at the minimum it has an ID here and a title, which is the string that appears on it. And this one's also got this ordering category, which overrides the order of the menu items in the XML and kind of puts them in the order you specify. Let's get rid of this for the moment because we don't need it. I'll get rid of the order, and I'm going to change this ID. So we know from the plus sign here that this is defining this ID right here. So let's change the definition and let's have menu underscore pass points reset. And yeah, so I've changed the ID, and I also want to change the text that appears on this menu item. So if I go to my strings.xml under values here, oh yeah, what I wanted to say actually, while I was hesitating but my mind went blank, was that you see these are all menu underscore such and such. That's not necessary, it's purely a convention so that you know which kind of ID and which resource name does what. So if you have an icon, you could prefix it with IC underscore, for example. So let's go to strings.xml here, and let's add a new string, and I'll give it the name, in other words the ID, menu underscore password. Actually, what should I call it? Yeah, I think I could call it menu underscore passpoints reset. I think if I give this the same name as that, I don't know if that's confusing or not. I think that will be all right, because after all, this is an ID, whereas this is in the strings resource, so they can have the same name. And let's say here reset passpoints, like that. And now let's change this to use that string that I just defined. So I make sure this is saved, and it is. So I've got this menu passpoints reset text here that says reset passpoints, and I'll just use that as the text for my menu item. So let's say menu underscore, and I'll use the autocomplete there, and menu passpoints reset. There we go. And let's just run that and see what it looks like. And while this is starting up, let's go to the right console here, check that it is starting up. I'll just explain a bit more here. So if I go to my activity, I'll go to the where are we? Source, my package, and my main activity here. Your activities by default, they have this onCreate options menu method, which overrides the same method in the parent. And what this does is, you'll notice it's using this r.menu activity underscore main. So this is the ID from r.java, and it's the ID that corresponds to this menu activity underscore main XML that we were just editing. And this gets passed in a kind of blank options menu, and the purpose of this get menu inflator.inflate, the purpose of that is to take the XML and to kind of turn it into a menu, to take that XML and use it to configure this menu. And that action of taking XML and turning it into some sort of user interface widget in the Android lingo is inflation. So that's why it says inflate. It just means take this XML and put it in this menu, basically inflate it into a user interface widget. So as long as that's there, it's gonna create my options menu. And let's just have a look at this menu now. So I'll go through to the next activity here and click the menu button, and now it says reset passpoints. To handle a menu item is also pretty simple. So I'm just going to click in this activity here. It's somewhere between the methods, and go to source, override implement methods, and I want to override a method called on menu. Let's see, on menu item selected. So it's pretty intuitive. So you override the on menu item selected in your activity. And the way this works is you get passed in the menu item that was clicked, and here we've only got one menu item, but you could have as many of these as you like in your menu. And if there's too many to display at once, they will go into a kind of overflow menu, so you don't have to worry about the number of them. And they can also be organized into categories. But now here we've just got one item, but let's assume that we might want to have more items, so I won't just blindly assume that the reset password item has been clicked. Let's pretend there are lots of items. And to find out which item has been clicked, you can use a switch here. And I need to switch on item.get Let's see if the autocomplete will work here. I'm getting problems with my autocomplete, but it basically works. Get menu, get, whoops, this is really annoying, get item ID, there we go. So this is a clicked item and I get its ID, and the ID will just be the ID. It will be this ID, which I can find via r.java. So I can say here case r.id.menu passpoints reset. That was the ID I gave to the item. And if you handle a menu item, you do something with it, you should return true. And if you don't handle it, so let's say default here, this is a default case, you should return the superclass implementation of this method, which is, we've already got here. Eclipse helpfully put it in for me. So let's just put in a default case, return the super implementation of this method. And now here I can handle my menu item, and for the moment let's just have, just so we can see it working, I could use a debug statement here, but let's just have a toast and say this, I'll just say hello for the moment, toast.length long, like that. So if I run this now, that should be operative. So that's basically it for the moment for this tutorial, but I'll show you this working in just a second. And what I'm going to do next is I want this to run an activity, and I want it to run my image activity actually. And we're going to have to find a way of telling that image activity that presents the kind of image on the main screen. Yeah, because the first activity that we see with this application, which we'll see in a second, is my image activity here, and this activity is the main activity. So we want to run the image activity and tell it that we want to reset the pass points somehow, and we're going to look at that in the next tutorial. But for now, if I go through to the so-called main activity, which I probably should rename actually, and click the menu button, there's my menu item, and I click this, and oh yeah, I forgot to show the toast, so let's just put show in there, save it, and I'll come back in 1 second when that's running. Okay, I'm back, and hopefully now it's working. So if I click the menu and click reset pass points, here's my hello toast. Okay, so that's it for this tutorial, and until next time, happy coding.